Yes, you're still watching Power Breakfast right here on Citizen TV, and it's that time when you take a look at the headlines today. And to help us do this morning, on my right we have Kimani Wamatangi, Senator, Kiambu County. On my left, Hassan, Omar, Senator, Mombasa County, and Richard Onyonka, Member of Parliament from Kitutu, Chache, but as he prefers, Kisita.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Email address. The hashtag to use is Power Breakfast. You can also tweet us on @CitizenTV Kenya. My Twitter handle is @FredIndimuli, @KWamatangi, @Hassan Omar H,
@Onyonka.
gmail.com.
I'd actually put you as
Onyonka@gmail.com.
Onyonka, but now if you have a handle.
Anyway, quick look at the headlines this morning on the dailies. The Standard leads with Jubilee Grand Party begins. Of course, the 10,000 delegates have already started arriving in Nairobi for the 3-day National Delegates Convention that will culminate in the formation of this Jubilee Party on Saturday. And of course, there'll be a flurry of activities beginning today. We'll be discussing this and a lot more news with regard to that later on the show. The Daily Nation leads with Uhuru allies fold parties in 2017 re-election plan. Still with the Jubilee merger, Jubilee National Delegates Convention. Of course, down there, Raila warns defectors as ODM set for celebrations. Remember, the ODM leader is still in Western Kenya, and he continues with his week-long tour of Kakamega County. We also do have the Star.
The Star, yep.
The Star. Uhuru fails to break a deadlock on Jubilee posts. This is with regard to the sharing of party positions among the 13 affiliate parties that are set to dissolve today and merge into Jubilee Party. But these stories, we'll discuss them much later on the show. For our starts, there's a very interesting story on the Standard. There's a highlight on page 1, on the front page of the Standard, new bill to ban daytime smoking. But on page 4 of the Standard, now the story in depth, MPs want law amended to regulate smoking hours, and if bill sails through Parliament, smokers will be limited to puffing their favorite tobacco brands between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Now, this bill is a brainchild of Uriru Member of Parliament John Kobado, and it provides that a person who contravenes this provision commits an offence and shall on conviction be liable to a fine not exceeding 100,000 shillings or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 1 year. That is if Parliament passes the bill as it is and the President assents to it. I don't know. What is your feeling about this, Onyonka?
First of all, when a bill is brought to the House, the member who's bringing that bill has to make sure that, one, the bill makes sense in terms of its interpretation and its execution. In this case, how are you going to implement that bill in case you assume that the bill is going to pass on the floor of the House? If somebody decides to smoke an hour which is not the hour you are prescribing in that bill, my feeling is that there will be amendments to it. I think to a large extent we already have a bill which is very clear where people can smoke, public places and private places, government offices and in vehicles and all that, public vehicles and all that. But smoking, again, is a private matter, and I think it should be left at that, of course, without infringing on the rights of the other Kenyans.
Yes.
I think, to a large extent, that bill, to me, with all due respect to my colleague, is shallow, but I'm sure when it gets to the floor of the House, it will be fine-tuned.
But in fact, sometimes the media is wrong when it positions certain proposals by various respective members of Parliament to mean that that is what Parliament is going to do. I'm all about averting the adverse effects of smoking. The whole intention of the Tobacco Act and regulating in terms of advertising smoking is because of the cancerous effect smoking has had in terms of the cost of health. So the taxes smoking tobacco companies pay to us are eclipsed by the kinds of treatment we have to afford to people who smoke. But I think sometimes also we need to look at it in terms of what is the objective of that bill. Once the bill comes to the House, there's always a memorandum of objectives. I want to see clearly how does it fit into the broader scheme as to when to regulate, in terms of mitigating the impact on our health. the impact on our economy, the impact of the tobacco industry on the young people, because we need to protect the young. Therefore, unless those objectives are clearly manifest, what if you tell somebody to smoke between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. and that's when he does his entire box of cigarettes, rather than which he spreads within the entire day? So I think, as my brother Richard had said, I think every bill must be evaluated on the basis of its merit and its logic. There are a lot of bills that have come before the National Assembly or the Senate and have not seen the light of day on the basis that from the prima facie they do not fit into the broader scheme.
Okay. And exercising futility?
Well, I think maybe just to add on to what my colleagues have said, because I think they've said as much. I mean, in light of the fact that the bill does not offer a wider latitude within which you can make various comments, to be fair to the author of the bill. Maybe he has intentions that we don't see. But I think the bill must incorporate the other views that are and other points of law as envisaged. As you know, we already have a tobacco bill which has already been in Parliament. Parts of it been implemented, although a larger part of it is still there's still a lot of contestation. And I remember the last time we spoke about the tobacco bill, we were urging the Committee on Delegated Legislation to ensure that most of it is implemented. There was a bit of resistance from the tobacco manufacturers, and that's what you saw. I think that was in the press last week, where some very gory pictures are supposed to be included in on the branding, but of course to serve the right purpose. I think, let me say that if we look at where we were before these bills came into law and play, we've made quite significant strides in eliminating and lowering the levels of smoking, especially in public spaces. And I've just seen from a quick overview that the author of this bill envisages that there will be, in quotes, licensing of designated smoking areas. And I've seen he has even proposed that if you have a shop and you want to apply for a smoking zone within your shop, you can apply for it from the county government. Let me echo one of the sentiments commented by my colleague Hassan Omar. If you follow scientific evidence, it's clearly said that the worst effects of tobacco smoking is not actually to the inhaler, it is to the third party.
Yes.
And so when you envisage that you would have maybe several smoking centers, even within shops or other shop buyers or customers are coming into, I don't know whether the author of this bill doesn't see that that would defeat
just sanctioning smoking.
And again, you wouldn't say that it is okay to buy death between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. or sanction cancer and its effects between dusk and dawn.
Yes.
I think maybe there could be much more to it that we've not seen. When it comes, we'll be able to debate it on the floor of the House. It will come to both houses, of course, although it originates from the National Assembly.
Yes.
And I think when it comes to the Senate, will do justice to it if the entire
by
content,
doing justice to it is
I mean, if the content is just what is captured in the media, I think maybe we'll go a long way in amending it to make it relevant and significant and useful, or then throw it out.
The whole idea of lawmaking, laws are documents of political compromise. Laws are documents of persuasion. And when Wamatangi inputs the issue of the Senate, I agree with him to the large extent, where maybe my brother Richard might agree that Senate to a large extent has acted more in many instances as a bipartisan house. And I can tell you, when you come with any issue, you show the merits and demerits, the logic or lack of it. Senate does usually go with that trend. So looking at unless the memorandum of objectives is extremely clear, I don't see it going anywhere. It's a proposal, and let media sometimes say that this thing is a proposal. I've seen a lot of times when just because a member of parliament makes a proposal, immediately before even it becomes law, you say how Senate or Parliament wants to interfere with the media, Parliament wants to do one or two things. So I think let's put it as at that proposal level. So you must change your style in reporting. So I think maybe also you need feedback from us. You must change your style in reporting to look at motions or proposals.
But once it's in
members.
Parliament, it means Parliament is actually discussing it and could consider it. So it is a
but you see here, you say with finality, Parliament.
I know we said it could. Once it's passed, it will mean this.
You know, and then you make one proposal of a member appear to sometimes impact on the entire logic or intellect of that house. And I think you need to sometimes be very clear. I mean, that's what in my assessment will be good.
Now, something else happened.